Hey BoLS fans, AdamHarry here with another Retro Corner review. Today I'm going over the very first supplement slash campaign guide slash companion to Rogue Trader First Edition 40k. This is the Warhammer 40k chapter approved book of the Astronomicon. Again, very first one. The copyright on this is in 1988. This book we have here is in really good condition. Want to show it off real fast too. So there's the front cover, obviously. Here's the back cover, it has a weapon summary. One of the things I wanted to point out before I dive into the book proper is this awesome section right here. Let you guys read that for a second and then see if you can spot the typo. Here's a hint. Yeah, since the beginning, folks. GW, spelling errors. It's okay, because we still love it. Anyway, let me stop stalling and let's jump in. So what is in the book proper? First off, there's a campaign, which I'll get to in a moment, and there are 6 additional army lists and a lot of stuff that's in color. So it's probably going to be a multi-part review again, at least 2, but I want to run through the campaign because it will look very familiar to a lot of you. This is actually called the Wolf Time scenario, and it is a Space Wolf campaign. So very first campaign put together by GW was actually Space Wolves, and it was versus Orcs. Gee, what's doing Space Wolves and Orcs right now? Yes. So anyway, the background of the campaign is there's a planet that the Space Wolves are trying to rescue from the Orcs who have taken it over, and the Space Wolves have to attack the rock. And it's going to be led by Commander Enoch right here. This is the Space Wolves commander. One of his backups here, Commander Storm. One of the things I want to point out too is this was again, Rogue Trader was a basically 3-person game because you had a GM and then the 2 players playing the opposing sides. This campaign section is for GM only. So this was the GM section, and then he would also read pretty much everything else, and then Space Wolves and the GM would read this, and then the Orcs later on will read those. So yeah, they had the Space Wolves had a really cool mission briefing here, which I'm not going to read word for word, but basically those are what I was just talking about here. The planet Zit was taken over by the Orcs and is here to be rescued by the Space Wolves. The Space Wolves have had a 5-year campaign, and so this is the last kind of stop for them. So their forces, they've already lost 1 big ship. Their forces are dwindling down, but they still have a mission to do, for the glory and the honor of the Imperium. So they've got to get the job done. What was cool about this scenario is this is one of the first times that they have listed the actual units, and in Rogue Trader it's all individual models and stuff like that. So this is the first time they kind of guide you into how to collect an army and how to actually play and organize your forces. So the first one here is the Space Wolves army list and stuff like that. It's not a full-on army list, but this is for the campaign, so it's very campaign specific. There are 3 starting locations that the Space Wolf player has to take from the Orcs, and he's got a fixed, or she has a fixed contingent of Space Wolf Marines that he has to go through. So he's got 6 5-man squads here, 2 more 5-man squads, a unit of Assault Wolves, a unit of Reconnaissance guys, and some different vehicle stuff too. But they have a very fixed, limited supply of guys and also weapons later on too. The Orcs, on the other hand, also have a fixed supply of guys, but their Orcs are fixed position. So like Station 1 has a set number of guys, Station 2 has a set number of guys, whereas the Marines, they can actually carve up their forces to take the 3 different objectives. You can divide up your guys however you want. So if you wanted to have a balanced list and split it just 3 ways to hit each one equally, or you can actually, the objective reads that you only have to take 2 out of the 3 scenarios. You have to win 2 out of 3 in order to get to the 4th and final scenario. So and then they also had some stuff like whoever survived could show up at the last battle and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool reading through this stuff. Each one of the units had different specialties, obviously, different gear as indicated by the pictures and stuff like that. Space Wolves stats, again, the basic Marine stats were 4s across the board except for toughness, where they're only toughness 3. So that hadn't changed to 4 just yet. And then if you go and look at each of the commanders, I'll read off some of their names, so they're pretty fun. Commander Enoch, Captain Storm, Captain Greylock, Captain Inferno. He's a Marine minor hero. Navigator Durian Ocelate. He's an ocelot. Librarian Edrigar. So head librarians, and then Bullock jet cycles. So pretty cool stuff there. These are the 4 different mission briefings. I guess you could probably play with a couple friends if you wanted to, if split it up that way, if each person was playing their own detachment. So fun stuff there. Getting over to the Orcs. Yeah. So the Orcs were Governor Kulo. He's the planetary governor. Their backstory is kind of fun. They're actually having a pit fight, and they kind of go through that way. But anyway, like I was saying, different stations had different fixed Orc forces. So, for instance, this one had 3 Orc combat units, and the unit comprised of 5 models led by a champion. So 3 units of those, an Orc technician group, and some allied forces there. But basically the scenario, the GM would read how the scenario is supposed to be played out, talk about different deployments and different terrain types and different building profiles. This was actually an Orc, or a temple, formerly a human temple, and the Orcs had taken over. And they actually show you the map, as you can see here, of what the layout was supposed to look like. So actually 6-inch gate, stuff like that. So the Marines had to get in there and I guess take the grav lift. So yeah, Station 2, more fun stuff. The scenario for Station 2 was all about the Marines trying to take out some generators, pretty much. They had different rules for the generators. There was rules for the generators would explode if the Orcs didn't release the release valves in time. Basically, the DM every turn he would roll a d6, and if you got more than 20, he would then roll a die to see if the generators exploded. So the Marines' job is to take that out, take out the Orcs, or take over and blow up the generators and stuff like that to get to the big base and fight off the Orcs. So there's another map for it's the same scenario, map 3. It is on a time limit too. So if the Space Wolves finished within 6 turns, then whoever was alive would automatically show up to the battle. If it was past 6 turns, then it was kind of a, well, we'll roll some d6s and to see if you make it or not. So Station 3, again, same fixed stuff here. So 1 to 4 units of 4 units each, comprised of 5 models led by a champion. Combat unit 5, also 5 models led by a champion. Fixed profiles, again, fixed lists like that. So this scenario is unique because it actually had a precursor to stealth. Basically, it's really dark due to some fog, and so they actually encourage you to use counters for your Marines. If the counters shot or were real Marines, eventually you'd swap them with models. But if they weren't, then the radar blips would eventually go off the table. So yeah, so pretty cool stuff here. There's pictures of each of the different Space Wolf guys. Captain Inferno with his Eye of Horus and his his smile there, his $1 million smile. There's the navigator guy he's got digital lasers, so he's doing his kung fu grip there. So fun stuff. Yeah, more stuff going on here. Again, more generators. This is the map 4 for scenario 3. Again, this is the layout they wanted you to use. Again, so it was a very fixed campaign. But it's pretty cool. You could tell they put a lot of time and effort into designing the campaign, and it's kind of a, earliest forging the narrative type thing they have going on. So pretty cool stuff. The last fight, again, this is at Kulo's castle. Here's a picture of the Orcs. Pretty cool stuff. Here's the fat Jabba the Hutt-esque Kulo, his second in command, Ruklo, Navigator Frog, and Dr. Spleen Ripper with his power claw thing. So yeah. He's a doctor too, because he's got the little medical thing on his forehead. So, again, fixed positions for the Orcs, fixed stuff. General Kulo there, and this was pretty much a slugfest. Marines get in there, take out the Orcs, and kind of smash them. So, tabletop, lower level. The different vehicle base. I want to skip ahead real fast. This just talks about running the game as far as the different zones and what each Orc had in them, or which each Orc was stationed there and stuff like that. Running the game. This is what I was trying to get to. This is an actual map of the layout. There's a bit of a glare. Let me move that. There you go. So you can see the different vehicle bay here, H-pad control, the main hall, zone A. So it's almost like a D&D map in a lot of ways. Pretty cool stuff. So this goes over the Marine supplies. Like I mentioned earlier, they did have fixed supplies. And some of this, it wasn't like Count Bolter shells or anything like that, but stuff like melted bombs and plasma grenades. At the final fight, the Marines get a supply drop, and they get 5 plasma grenades and sufficient melta bombs to equip any 3 5-man units. They also talk about as you lose casualties from the same type of unit, later on you can combine those guys. So if you had a squad of 2 guys left and a squad of 3, you can combine them into a full squad of 5. That was something the player worked with the GM to do. So pretty cool stuff. More special rules about laser fields and stuff like that. This is the final map. So that's that gravity lift I mentioned earlier. Different stuff, barracks, great hall, very cool, full color map, very D&D-esque, pretty sweet stuff. So interior subplot. They also had a way. It's already a campaign, so it's kind of complicated, but they also have subplots. Where, you know, it's something in the Rogue Trader that had a giant table of subplots. This one also has some unique subplots, so that's pretty cool. Pretty sweet artwork as well. Space Wolves versus Orcs. Pretty awesome stuff. So this gets to the color section. I want to take my time on. There's these 2 color pages. Obviously, Squats, Eldar. Go through those guys. Different banners and stuff. Different icons and symbols. A little bit of fluff about the Squats here. Again, Eldar stuff. There's a Shuriken Catapult. Looks semi-reminiscent of what it looks like now. You can see the early design aesthetic there. The barrel obviously got longer, but different craft worlds and stuff like that. Their symbols. This section is the 40k army list, which I'm going to go over next time. But that's the earliest stuff. But I'm going to skip ahead and go back to some more color stuff. So, Orcs, their campaign stuff, their cool icons and different banners and stuff. Fluff piece here. Rogue Traders actually do have an army list, which we'll go over next time, but they look pretty sweet. The Power Glove. This is what I wanted to skip to. We'll go to the army list, but this is what I want to skip to as well. The color section. This might sting a little bit for you guys that have been in the hobby for a while, but you could buy a box set of 30 Marine models for £9.99. Stings a little, just a little bit. Ouch. GW pricing. Imperial Space Marines, more guys, 75 pence or whatever. So yeah, that was pennies for dudes. I believe these are all metal as well back in the day. So these were not the plastic, obviously. Dreadnought armor, 350 pounds, 250 pounds. Man, jet cycles, dreadnoughts. These are the old school ones. You don't see those guys anymore. They look really cool. The Orc Box, also $9.99. Ouch. Get a bunch of boys. A lot of fun stuff here. Space Orcs. With a K, not a C. Battle Buggy. Orc Dreadnoughts, the original bad boys. Here we go. So, kill a cannon almost, and some basic Orc Dreadnoughts. Then they also had 40k mercenaries. Not space mercenaries, but some mercenaries there. Chainsaw Warrior. Earlier incarnations of the chain swords. Dude's literally got a chainsaw, rocket launcher, and like an auto gun. It's really an AK, but whatever. Space dwarves, not even squats, folks. Doesn't even say squats, just space dwarves. All these different options here. A box of those guys, a box of these guys are $2.50 each for 4. So heavy weapon squats, space dwarves, space elves. No Eldar, not even that. See that? Right there in the corner. Space elves. They pack some Zotes with them. Down at the bottom here. Space pirates. Again, more mercenary company type guys. The Iron Claws. The Imperial Army. Not even IG, just the Imperial Army. Box set of those guys. Ogren guys. Yeah, pretty nuts. Devastators. This is the first Imperial Speeder. You've got a Tarantula and a Mole Mortar that the Squats were famous for. These things hurt. Vincent Black Shadow Bike. This is basically an attack bike now. It's got the sidecar and a gun. Imperial Commander. Jeez, who does that look like? Calgar on the throne. I'll let you decide which throne he's on. Porcelain one. Moving on. The last one here, more Space Elves Command Group. So, Jump Troopers, stuff like that. It's a terrible shot. There we go. So, yeah. But that's it for this review. Thanks for watching. Again, this is AdamHarry for BoLS. For our Retro Corner review. If you like what you're seeing, go ahead and give us a like, subscribe down at the bottom there, comments in the section, and come back next week for the army list from the original chapter approved. 40K. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one.